We are a little further than we were going to start today. I'm going to go back because we didn't complete the Indian. It's a few lines above the, higher than the third from the bottom of the page. The line that starts with the words Oilam Esel. Okay, we have it. On Zion, from the bottom of the page. Yeah. Eloho inyan hu, but the inyan of what is the real reason for the creation. The inyan behind the creation is K'mishakoso b'medrash, as the Medrash writes, al posuk sheikov amud sheish. So the Medrash says, sheikov refers, sheikov zeho elam. Sheikov refers to the world. How so? Shenishteikeg HaKadosh Baruch Hu livroisei. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because Hashem had a tshuka, had a special desire to create it. And that's why it said Sheikov, that his desire in creation of the world, Amudei Sheish, has been placed upon 6 pillars, which are the 6 meters, on 6 days. And therefore the Rebbe explains that this means Shezehu mitzad hatshuka levad, that the creation is exclusively because of the tshuka, of the desire to do so, loy mitzad hahechrech chas v'sholem b'shvil ha'olemus, b'shvil hashlemus, right? Not because of any compelling, of any need for the sake of shleimus, of acquiring any kind of completion of perfection. V'loy begin the yishtemedum bei, and neither also for the sake that yishtemedum bei, that they would know in him, there would be something to be known. The meforish be'etz chaim, where the Eitz Chaim explains, shezeh gam kein mitzad hashleimus. The Eitz Chaim explains that the inyan that the Zohar says, begin the yishtemedum bei, that there should be knowledge of him. So the Eitz Chaim says that even though the Zohar says a different word, yishtemedum bei, but essentially this yishtemedum bei is because of shleimus. In other words, what is the meaning?
That he's lacking.
Yeah, what is the meaning that he should be known? Because by being known, there's a shleimus acquired. There's a completion. It completes something. That's what the Eitz Chaim says, and the Rebbe is going to explain this. This is kind of going back to completing the old discussion that we had. Like we had these 2 reasons from the Eitz Chaim because of the shleimus, and from the Zohar because the yishtemedum bei. And the Rebbe now further explains that this which the Zohar says, the yishtemedum bei, the Eitz Chaim completes this and brings it to its end and says, yishtemedum bei means also because of shleimus. V'yesh shleima, and we can explain why does the Eitz Chaim correlate these 2 reasons. Mishum, because the im loy kain. If not so, if it's not because of the need or the accomplishment of shleimus, that it complements Hashem. Eine move on, we don't understand. What does it matter? What difference does it make to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And how is it touch? How does it affect Lamailo, this inyan? The Yedu Eisei Yisborich, that he should be known.
Sorry, could you go over that one?
Yeah, which one? V'yesh Leima. The Rebbe explains what the Eitz Chaim adds to the Zohar. The Zohar says Yishtemedum. The Eitz Chaim said that Yishtemedum lay, that the complete reason behind it is that because Yishtemedum lay adds to the Shleimus. It complements. The Rebbe says, why does Eitz Chaim say that? Because im loy kain, if not for the Shleimus, ain't moving. We don't understand. What is it? What difference does it make? What is it? How does it touch him? Why does it mean to him that he should be the Yedu is but that he should be known? Velozois meforish. Okay, it's clear now. Velozois meforish, and that's why the Eitz Chaim explains shezehu mitzad hashleimus, that the Inyan that he should be known is for the sake of shleimus. She's galu koichesov mehelem el hagili.
That's what you understand?
Huh?
That's what you understand. That when if we say it's for shleimus, then we understand why it is. Then it's a good reason for praying more. It looks like it.
Then the reason is a good reason. The question is, in other words, the reason is complete. But we are saying the Gila of HaKoiches, the Shleimus HaKoiches, what does you need to create the Olam Hazeh HaKatah? If this were the reason, this whole thing we already discussed. In other words, first of all, we have a question on the Inyan that L'mayla Ein Koyach HaSarpeya. So we said, and then because the Koyach, in the Koyach already there is a Poyach. So the Inyan from Yizgala Koyach Yizboret is already there.
Right.
Why does he have to have Olam Hazeh HaTach? So that remains a question.
Right.
But in itself, in other words, the reason in itself is complete. And that we say that he should be known, and what happens when he's known? That this complements, makes whole the Iskoichas.
Okay. But that's in Bechal we don't understand.
That we don't understand. We do understand it within a certain context.
Right.
Only in the onset, but not why it went down all the way to the Olam Hazeh.
No, but before I just couple lines before we said that it's not an effort.
No, okay.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, here, follow this. We discussed this whole thing of the Eitz Chaim, the reason for the Eitz Chaim on the Zohar. So the Rebbe brings down now from the Medrash a completely new point.
Right.
Then after bringing down from the Medrash a new point, he briefly goes back and says that this is the real reason, and not because of the other reason. What is the other reason? The other reason is that because it should be legalis shleimus hakoiches. And then, but we said we have two reasons: shleimus hakoiches or the yishta maiden lay. So he said the yishta maiden lay is also shleimus hakoiches, as the Eitz Chaim explains. And the Rebbe explains why does the Eitz Chaim say that the shleimus hakoiches? Because otherwise it's half a reason. Because what is the result of his being known? What does it mean to him? But if you say that through being known, that complements the koiches, then we have a complete reason, even though it doesn't give us the full reason for the creation, but in itself it's a self-sustaining reason. And that's where the Eitz Chaim explains that this is because of shleimus. You want to say it? That this itself is an aspect of shleimus. When the koiches come from helem, from a concealment, from an inherent state to a factual state. And what is the definition of gilui? Who it is kisheyesh mi shemekabel as hagilui oir. That only is true when there is someone who receives this gilui v'yodeya oisoy and knows it. Because if there isn't anyone to know it, then the gilui is not a gilui. That's why he says that there had to be a creation, so that the shleimus hakoiches should be known. So therefore, there is both. There is shleimus hakoiches, the gilui, and the gilui is known, and therefore there is an accomplishment of shleimus hakoiches. However, as we already said, it's impossible to say tam zeh, this reason al is havas olam hatach. This reason does not explain why what is the accomplishment, what is the purpose of Olam Atach in the lower world. Sharei hoyom maspik behis havus Olam Asalyin. For this purpose, the Olam Asalyin, the higher worlds, would be sufficient. Not only the higher worlds, but it says even more, v'gam in the parentheses, v'gam ha'atzilus ha'kloli shelifnei ha'tzimtzum. Even just the oil lifnei ha'tzimtzum is already sufficient that it is no canal, as we said before. V'lo yihutzrach liyo is havas olam ha'tachel. And therefore, in the creation of the lower world would not be needed. Bifrat, and moreover, shekan hu bechinas hester ve'helemoid. Where here in the lower world, first of all, it's not needed because it's already accomplished before. And then furthermore, here it is altogether not Gilui, because it's Helem Ho'ir, when is Hava Davko Bo'ofen Kazeh Kanal, and it was created intentionally in this manner that it should be Helem, so therefore it cannot be part of that reason. This is a summary of the whole discussion from before. Hello, but rather shezehu rak mitzad hatshuka. The creation is only because of the tshuka, of the desire. Shenishtoy keg hakodesh baruch hu livroisoi. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu desired to create it. Ve'ein onu yoidim tam sichli. And we do not know a seichel dikitam, means a tam of sense, a reasonable explanation. Mipnei ma nishtoikik. Why did he? Why was this shuk? Just 1 second. Let me just elaborate on this. What was this shuk? As we will see, a real tshuka, a real desire, is its own reason. And it does not have an alternate, an external an external impetus, cause for the tshuka. That's the real tshuka.
What's the difference between tshuka and ratzon, or it's synonymous?
It's not synonymous, but they're very closely related. This we will see. There is oineg and rotzen, and tshuka is like a combination of oineg and rotzen together. Just to introduce this whole inyan, as I pointed out right in the beginning of this whole discussion, that when we are talking about the reason for the creation, why did Hashem create? We don't. What does it mean? How Hashem creates? We're going to imagine why Hashem created. We're going to imagine who Hashem is, what Hashem is, and we're going to say, oh, He must have created for this reason. So explain that this is not our approach at all. Our approach is He created the world. What is represented in the world that is the essence and the origin of this world, and therefore that's the cause, that's the reason for it. Just as in simple terms, this is a simple logical process. When you see a person going to work, you say, why is he going? Or you see him going. Where is he going? Why is he going? I don't know. You follow, and you see that he's going to the sun, and he goes to an office, and he works, and he comes back home. So you say, oh, he must have gone there because he wanted to work. And then you say, but why did he want to work? So you wait to see what is the result of his work. When at the end of the week, when he brings back a paycheck, he says, oh, that's the reason he went to work, to bring back a paycheck. In other words, You're not going into his brain. What is he thinking? You're going into his actions to see what, and there, that's concrete. That's what you want. Okay.
So he
But
created
then
to
you
have
say,
talk time.
what?
So he created to have the talk time. He created the Olamais.
Right. And then you go and see further. What's so great about, why do he need a check for it? So you see that he takes the money of the check and he pays the grocer and he buys milk with it. So you know that he went to work in order to pay for the milk. And then you say, why do you want to pay the milk? Oh, he feeds the milk to his children. Oh. So the end, what he ultimately does with it, as you trace it down, you say, this is the ultimate purpose. Okay, so this is where we are approaching it. Since the Rebbe created the world, and we see what is the end accomplishment in the world, and from that we say, oh, that's what he really wanted. That's the ultimate cause. Since we see, and this is what the mother says, there's Olam HaTachton. Olam HaTachton does not accomplish anything. It doesn't reveal godliness in terms of Yishtamedun Lei, and it doesn't complement the Meibashter. What then is it? Just like by a person, when you see he wants to feed his children, there, what happens with these kids? The kids grow up and they go and build their own independent homes. It doesn't come back to him at all. So what does it tell you? That this union that he wants to feed his children, that's an end purpose in itself. It's not a union that comes back to him. This is what he really wants. Why? There's no reason. This is what he wants. It's a purpose all in itself, and it's not based on reason. Reason means that there is a give and take. There is something in me that I need, and because of that need, I do this, and I'm hungry, I eat, so that satisfies my hunger. But if you do something that is completely independent, that means that you have an independent desire for this thing. Not based on reason, not based on reciprocation. Where a quality of this type, a force of this type, that one should want something that is not reciprocal, comes from, this truly we do not understand. This is what I said, we don't have a tam sichli. Clearly there is a tam, but it's not a tam sichli. What is a tam sichli? What is the definition of sichli? Sichli means definable. That we can take it outside and say, okay, I can map it out. This is a tam sichli. There is a tam, but it's not a tam sichli. Just as you say, oh, I like chocolate. Why? I like chocolate. So there is a tam, but it's not a tam sichli. It's not a seichel that gives up thing. When you say nishtoikik, shukin means, yes, that's like the real thing. And there is a tam to it, but it's not a tam sichli. We can no further discuss it and put it in any kind of perspective, any kind of delineation, of logical process. Because that's the essence. This is what he really wants. Okay, that's clear. I want to go a step further. Yeah. What does it mean from the perspective of the world that he created? And what, in fact, do we see in the world that it really attests to it, even though it's clear? The Medrash says, but where do you see in the world this quality? There are two aspects. One is that the world is literally a separate thing from Hashem. Not in terms of its feeling, in terms of the recognition, it's a separate mitzvah. There's no reciprocation whatsoever. On the other hand, it is a testimonial. What testimonial means? It attests. It speaks. It says that I didn't make myself. Somebody made me, but somebody made me in such a way that I should be an independent entity. This gives a totally different value to the world. Just like a child, when you bring up a child and you bring him up to the point where he should be independent, and you say you put everything into the child for the sake that he should ultimately be completely independent. And then the child recognizes his real worth. That he is not there for anybody's sake, he's there for his own sake. What is then the relationship between the child and his parents? The child becomes totally independent. Does that mean that there's a severance of their relationship?
No.
What is it?
You will appreciate it.
It's the purest type of relationship there could be. It's not based on any need. Not based on any need. When the child asks, the child is already independent, stands alone, and asks his parent, can you do me this favor? And the parent doesn't. And the parent could do it or not do it. Basically, because he already brought the child up. It's not going to be a reflection on the parent at all. And the parent does it. What does it say? There's an inherent relationship. There's a true relationship there. Not just a relationship that is kind of reflected, that has anything to do with the parent. You didn't catch that? While the children are growing up, and the child wants something, and the parent doesn't satisfy his need. The child wants something or needs something, and the parent doesn't give it. Then that kind of, depends of course whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, whatever it is, that reflects itself in the child. And anything that's reflected anything that reflects itself in the quality of the child will ultimately reflect itself on the parent. Did the parent do a good job in raising the child, or not such a good job? So then one could say that the reason he's doing all of these things because he doesn't want it to be reflected on him. But when the child is totally independent already, he's standing mamish on his feet. And then he asks him for something and he's granted. Then he has nothing to do with anything. Nothing to do with the parent at all. It's only a pure relationship.
Because this child is dear to the parent.
That's right.
That's right.
It's a pure relationship between them.
For the sake of a child, very.
It's a relationship. It's, there's a pure love. Okay. Then this brings us to the climax, at the point that I really wanted that we should focus in. We always think in terms, like you'd say, if you will listen to the mitzvahs and you do what I tell you, then I'll reward you, I'll give you rain, and I'll give you all the support you need. So, we, some of us anyway, tend to interpret it as a tit for tat. And it's like an automatic response. If I do this, I get this. If I do this, I get this. As if one is literally dependent on the other. Hashem needs this mitzvah. And if I give him this mitzvah, then he is bound to give me this. It's almost like if I push the sefer will move. And it's a total misunderstanding. And the important thing of this misunderstanding, there are many ramifications in this. But the important thing is that then you're not relating to Hashem, you're relating to a specific aspect. He needs this mitzvah, he needs this mitzvah. It's not a direct relationship to Hashem himself. Whereas when you say there is absolutely no need, no reciprocation, it's just simply one independent entity to another, then you're relating totally essence to essence. Okay, this is where the whole richness of this comes out.
The Rebbe says in Tanya, right, that the love between two people that depends on something else.
Right.
So it's not true. It's not the.
Yeah, it's well, there's a mission. I was a kluya b'dovash, and I was in a kluya. But this gives us an insight in understanding what it is. So a tam sichli we do not know. V'hakavon bozem. But what is the kavona? Meaning, what is the intent? Meaning, what is the end result? You follow? The end result tells us what the kavona is. What is the kavona? Bigdei lahamshir gilui atzmus eidin soif davko lamata. It is in order to be mamshir the gilui of atzmus eidin soif. What's it atzmus eidin soif? Why do we say it's atzmus eidin soif? Based on this explanation, now you understand. It's atzmus. It's not that there's one neither or another. It's the essence.
The term kavan and the term nishteik, they don't contradict one another?
No. Nishteik is speaking about the neighbors. What he wanted. Kavana means the intent. What is the end result? Kavana means what is the end result of that?
Through the end result, don't you see that all along there was a tam, there was a reason? Tam Siflin, you're saying that why Hashem wanted the world? It was a desire. There was no tam Sifli. Then you say, but now that we see at the end of the game that now the idea is to draw a giloy
so how was that
into the world.
How was that tam Sifli?
Huh?
How was that a tam Sifli? What a tam Sifli means? He gets something out of it. What does he get out of this? This is just explaining what happens as a result. In other words, what is the world represented? It represents by the Meibush the tshuka, and what is it? And what is the tshuka accomplished? That there should be gilui atzmus eidin.
That's not. So it's not.
It's not a tam sifli.
It's not a seichel union. It's like
explain that. Tam sifli means that there's reciprocation. There's a reason why he wants it. That the fact that you can give atzmus eidin soif lamata is not. There's no. What is he needed for?
How do we come to the Gilul Atzmus Eidin Lamata from saying that you could clearly see the world, that the world is not made for any Giluyim, and saying just it's a place of Helen and Chester and lack of oil. If oil.
I'll explain to you that this is what we're going to see, but I explain to you as a kind of an introduction to it.
Yeah, I understand.
So this is the Atzmus Eidin Sof. It's not a Gilui of Giluyim,
right.
but the Etzem.
So, but I understand, but is it logical that because I'm saying that the worlds and the look, how you're saying that you look at the person with a paycheck, yeah, you look at the end result. What the end result? Then this child is obviously
Because
not working.
over there we're talking about Tam Sichli.
No, he said, but why he wants to feed his child is not simply is that
Well, up until the time that while the child is still in his house,
yeah.
it's still a Tam Sichli. But when you see later on, when the child becomes completely independent, then you know that it's not a Tam Sichli.
Okay. I just never. You saying how do we know? We don't know what Hashem reason is logically, but what's the Tam Sichli?
But the Tam Sichli we cannot apply to it.
So we look at and how do we perceive if it's any kind of Tam, and how do we know what he wants? By looking at the world, right? What he does, and we see the end result is Olam Hazeh, which is nothing going on basically, and it's separated from everything. And then you see, and therefore that's what Hashem wants is a Gil Atmos. How do you know this? Because by looking at the world, which doesn't.
I see what your question is.
Is that what it's there for? I mean,
He doesn't say therefore. He says v'akavona. So Avraham asks, how is this follow? Just as, well, in the moshel between a father and a child, there is also that aspect. Of course, not in the same purity, but there is also that aspect. If the father wants that his son, wants a son who is completely independent of him, a total entity, where is that intent come from? What does it mean that he wants that? Not why, but what does it mean? Because that he is a complete entity. He wants his son also to be a complete entity. You understand? In other words, what does he want in his son? That it should reflect his perfection in his son. And this is the same meaning. He wanted a complete mitzias, a separate mitzias. Shtoike. What is the kavanah? Where does it come from? It comes from the fact that he is atzmi, and he wants this atzmos to be reflected in the mitzias of the world. This is what it means that he wants without a reason. Do you understand? This is a little bit more subtle. What is it? Where is this inyan of there being a mitzias that is completely independent? There is no gilui lukus. Where does it come from? But maybe in other words, how did the Rebbe ever think of it? Put it this way. Because he is a Natsmi.
He's like this.
So he wants that the mitzias of the world should be a Natsmi. That's like by a father and a son. If he is truly, a full-fledged individual, he wants his son also to be a full-fledged individual.
Okay. So he did it.
What?
He did it already. So what are you saying that he needs to deal with Antonio after that? He wanted, right? The world now already independent entity.
Yeah, but the world without the Gilui Latzmus Erisoif is not a Mitzias. It's a false Mitzias. When the Gilui Latzmus Erisoif is in the world, that's when it becomes a real Mitzias. Okay, we'll see. Lahamshi Gilui Atzmus Ein Sof Dafke Lamato. Dafke Lamato. It's the word Dafke over here refers to Gilui Atzmus Ein Sof. And because he wants Gilui Atzmus Ein Sof, that can only be Lamato. Ve'al Zeh Omru. Regarding this, the Chachamim said, Nis'ava HaKodesh Baruch Hu Lis Lo Dira B'Tachtein. Hashem desired to have a Dira B'Tachtein, to have a place where He would be complete in Tachtein, which means would completely reflect Him. She'ein Zeh Mitzad Eze Hechrech B'Tam Sichli. This Indian that he wants a dira b'tachtenim, there is no hechrech for it. There is no compelling aspect in him that he needs it, and therefore there is no tam sifli. There is no reason, a seichelic reason that we can provide for it. Ki'im except mipnei shenis'ave kach, because that's what he wants. That's how he desired. Shehu lemailo mitam v'das. This taiva is l'mayla mitam v'das. It's a reason in and of itself, but mayla mitam v'das, higher than a tam that can be known, which means it can be traced and saying, what do you get out of it? And as the Alter Rebbe says regarding this, if a taiva is kinkasha, but on a taiva there is no kasha. How can you ask a kasha on a taiva? Everything in the world represents a taiva from the Medrash. But we understand from our discussion that it's the taiva itself is its own reason. It's a real thing. It's not a capricious thing. But that itself is its reason, that he wants that there should be, that the world should have him. Rag shenisave, only that he desired, sheyiyeh mitzius tachtoinim, that there should be such an entity called tachtoinim. V'yum shar bechinas atzmus ein soif lamato, and the atzmus of ein soif should be nimshach, should come down here lamato, and should be completely reflected lamato. Shezeh biyichoiles lahamshich lamato ba'olam hatachtin dafke k'mei sheyizboy. This Indian, atzmus ein soif, is only capable to be nimshach lamato in olam hatach, and it cannot be in olam ha'elyon. This is why you need an olam hatach. This explains why the whole Seder Shas is all the way to the end, because if you want to mamshich atzmus, it can only be nimshach in tach. K'mei sheyizboy, as we shall explain. V'ha hamshocho, this hamshoch, o bechinas atzmus ein soif, he mi bechinas pnimius v'atzmus ein soif. In atzmus ein soif, which level it is from pnimius and atzmus ein soif, the etzem of ein soif. I'll discuss briefly as we go along. Shalamaylo maylo mehagilui shemeir ba'olamus. The etzem of ein soif that is much higher and higher than the gilui that comes in the elamis, the bechinas memale kol almi, in the form of memale kol almi. Bear with me a few minutes. Shezeo rag haora levad, memale kol almi. This haora oir is only haora shel be'erech o elamis, that is within grasp of the worlds. Ubehaora zu, and in this aspect, in this haora of a malikolam, yosh hilukim madreges, there are different levels, milo umato, higher and lower, ad sheba'olam hatachtin, all the way to the lowest world, who bebechinas hela vehester ha'oir legamri, where the oil is totally and completely concealed, as we explained before. Avol kasher ha'hamshocha hi mibechinas atzmus ein soif, but when the hamshocha is from the aspect of atzmus ein soif, ein bozeh his chalkus milo mato. There is no Yitzchalkus Ma'im Umat. Okay, so being that, okay, let's catch this. Being that in Atzmus, in the Amshoch of Atzmus in Soif, there is no Yitzchalkus Ma'im Umato. This is why this Gilui actually comes from Mato, the same as it is in Milo. Because this is an Indian that does not recognize Milo or Mato. So now we go back to put in some flesh on this which we said over here. The third line from the top, right? That is higher and higher than the Gili that Meir Ba'inomis, Malakolam. What is he saying here? That is higher and higher. All oil comes from Matzah. From Atzmus. All oil comes from Atzmus. Just like the moshel from the ray of the sun. All light comes from the sun. So what does it mean? The oil from Atzmus Ein Sof. Gilui Atzmus Ein Sof. Oil is also from Atzmus Ein Sof. And then we say, Yum shel bechinas atzmus ein sof lamato. That atzmus ein sof should be nimshach lamato. If it's nimshach lamato, that means that there is an oyer that's nimshach. If you have the sun itself here, then the world would be no world. The earth would be burnt up. And that's why we say that this is called Atzmus Ein Sof should be Nimshach Lamat. But if it's Nimshach Lamato, that means it's an oil. If it's an oil, everything is an oil. And, the Metzius of the world is also an oil. What is the difference? What kind of oil is this? If it's Nimshach Lamato, it's an oil. And the Metzius of the world is also an oil. This is what he is explaining in these brief words. That there is the union from a Malik Olam, which is only Ha'ora, that Lefiyerach Oilams. And then there is a different kind of oil. It's called oil from Pnimis fi Atzmus Elis. An oil that represents the Pnimis in Atzmus Elis. It's an oil, it's in the world. But it's an oil that represents the Pnimis and Atzmus Elis. Okay. Let's go back to our moshel of the father and the son. When the father gives his son $1, the son can take this dollar and buy candy for it, or buy whatever he needs for a watch. If he's older, he buys a watch. Not for $1, says that $1 is insignificant. I need, I'm talking in different numbers now. This is called Memalik Olam. It's a Memalik. It is something that the son, that yes, it comes from the father, but it's something that the son can interpret in his own terms. It has meaning to him at his level. This is called a ha'or. What is an etzem? An etzem is when the father gives a kiss. He doesn't give anything to his son. He doesn't give him anything. It's not mislabish in any kind of a form that's memale that the son can take independently and use it in his own little world. But it gives him a sense of it gives him a sense of a real connection, a recognition that he is his son, that he is not just floating around in the world, but he is his son. In terms of his needs, that's Malakul Alman, that has to be fed at his level, the erech. But in terms of the essence, it's a totally different gift. This is clearly, you understand, a moshel, but to understand what's meant in essence. There is a ha'ora and there is the oil from atzma. If this father should say, "Oh, you are my son, you stay close by me, you don't walk out of my house, you stay with me," then he is canceling out his son. That's not giving him anything. The mamshich from Pnimis and Atzmus means a hamshocha from Pnimis and Atzmus. He gives him some of himself. But he gives him some of himself in a way that it remains himself, rather than being translated at the son's level. Okay? This is called Pnimius V'Atzmus. Because, why is it called Pnimius V'Atzmus? This is not translatable. If the father should give him all the money in the world, would not compare to this one little kiss. It's not translatable in any form. Because it has to represent his essence. And this oir from Pnimis V'Atzmus only exists in a direct contact. It does not exist in a translated form. Which is called an oir, not a ha'or. Ha'or means something that can be separated. Oir is directly connected to the essence, cannot be separated. Especially when you say oir from Pnimis V'Atzmus, oir that is represented in the Pnimis V'Atzmus. This is like a first inkling of what we are talking about. Okay. And this is what he says, that the Hamshochi is from the Bechinas Pnimis V'Atzmus. What's meant by Bechinas Pnimis V'Atzmus? It's something, a Hamshocha that represents Aninim Pnimi and Atzmi. There is no Hischalkus Mailomat, because it's not translatable into anything. The Iker Hagilui, and then the principal Gilui, meaning where is this Gilui going to be in principle, mainly, Yiyah Lamato Davke, should be specifically here Lamato. Mipnei Shakach Nisav, because this is how Hashem wants it. Mitchilo Kaviyach, all the way from the beginning. This is how Hashem wanted it all the way to the beginning. Ulefi, and as we explained later, Lefi shehamshocha hi alidei ho'avedo lemato dafka. The Gilu should be lemato, because this is how Hashem wants it, and also because the hamshocha comes only through avodah. And Hamshocha that comes to Avodah, this touches the Pnimis V'Yatzos. This is why it's possible.
It's not for the second reason, just for the first reason, it will be possible in higher worlds also, right? Because you're saying that the Hamshocha from Pnimis V'Yatzos is not bound to Mata and Milo. It can be above also as below. It doesn't matter where, right? And also that because he wants so from the beginning that the Hamshocha from the Sat Friends should be in a below Dafka. But it could be somewhere else also, right? If not.
Yes and no.
Right.
And I explain to you why. As we mentioned, this is what we're going to be learning about. Just as we said before, that a tam sichli we cannot provide for.
Right.
Since Lamailo, everything is taken with seichel, and something that is not seichel, that is not chokhmah, you cannot relate to it. Therefore, it's not really there.
That's the way they operate. Yeah, that's the way they are.
Right. Okay. This would be it for tonight. Right?
Yeah.
Avodah from Mata Dafka.
Right. No, this Aveda, the infant Aveda, we'll still talk about it. You want to the next minute?